I was 19 years old when my family and I packed up our house of 7 years of memories in Chile to move back to Sweden. I had gotten myself a boyfriend during that last summer, and it was extra special because he was a friend turned boyfriend. So it was painfully heartbreaking to say goodbye. At the same time, I couldn't hide my excitement to head back to Sweden, the country that had raised me, kind of reconnect with my stereotypical big and loud Chilean family, explore what friends I'd still have left, take dance classes by world-renowned choreographers, and to start my university journey. I had gotten accepted to a 1-year dance program at the Ballet Academy of Stockholm and a 4-year economy program at the University of Stockholm. And my boyfriend was going to visit me around Christmas next year, so things could not have been set up more perfectly from the moment I lifted off from the airport in Santiago de Chile. It didn't take long until the things I was so excited to eat in Sweden turned my stomach inside out. I strangely wasn't feeling my favorite baked goods anymore. It was winter in Sweden, and it is pretty common to have vitamin D deficiency, meaning you start to feel that lack of energy and tired during the winter season. But I had just moved from summer in Chile, so I knew that could not be the reason. So I went to see a doc just for a regular checkup. I didn't even have to go home to wait for the results. The nurse told me then and there that I was pregnant. It was like I physically felt my nervous system sending signals from my head to my heart, to my gut, to my fingertips. Everything flashed through my eyes. My boyfriend at the time was the first one I had sex with, and we had been very careful because in Chile, abortions are not legal. And I was very clear from the beginning that I wanted a career before kids. Did we not have protected sex every time? I started to wonder and just question myself, and I guess not. How could I be so fucking stupid? Is there any way I could keep it? I don't even have a job. I live with my parents and about to start university. The tsunami of emotions started to come out of my eyes. And I just started to bawl in front of this very emotion-neutral stranger nurse. And to this day, I do not remember how I got home that day. My sister was pregnant with my first niece, and I did not want to tell my mom, so I chose to tell my sister. And I remember being so filled with sadness and guilt about sharing this information with my sister when she was in a completely opposite mindset. I was so incredibly happy for her and her baby, but could not feel the same for myself. She went with me to the clinic, and although she couldn't go in to the room with me, I knew she was there. I felt her through the walls. My hospital room was shared with another woman, which I did not expect. She was a theater major with big dreams of becoming an actress, and she had this really beautiful, big personality. We became as friendly as possible due to the little time we had to kind of chit-chat before we got our abortion pills. We had our own bathrooms and a big curtain-like wall in between us, which felt kind of nice because you still had that privacy, but just knowing that there's someone behind that curtain that is going through this first experience, it meant something. And as you can imagine, the actual process wasn't pleasant. You took a pill through your mouth, and it took, 30 minutes, and I felt completely dizzy and drunk. It was like period cramps times 100. And it was like that pill helped your body to contract and flush out. When the bleeding started at like peak levels, it was like having a normal length period narrowed down to those like 30 minutes or 1 hour. I remember feeling so scared because I couldn't control what my body was going through. But I felt safe that I was at a hospital with a professional team around me. After like 45 minutes, an hour, I finally got that urge to go to the bathroom, and it was pretty clear to me that the experience had come to an end. My body ejected a walnut-sized blood cloth, and it was like magic. Like, my dizziness went away, and I almost feel like I was back to normal in a second. I literally had a dance audition the next day, and it was like nothing had happened to me, physically or emotionally. Call it a defense mechanism or trauma, but someone with that lack of emotional attachment to an abortion should not be forced to have a child. Fast forward to when I was 30. I had just gone through a divorce, and I met a new boyfriend, and one of these crazy nights we had unprotected drunk sex. We woke up the next day highly disappointed in ourselves, especially me. I've already gone through this. I was so disappointed in myself. But we went to the pharmacy that morning and got the day after pill because our intention was far from becoming parents. We had this long distance relationship and it was not in our plans. I still got pregnant. This time, I was in the US and not in Sweden, so the difference is monumental. In Sweden, I paid $0 for the care, and in the US, I paid $500. In Sweden, I was in a hospital room with my own toilet and a monitoring team of nurses. In the US, I got the first pill in the appointment room and the second pill to go. So I had to plan this all around a weekend where my roommates weren't home to take that second pill at home, with no supervision at all. Just me, myself, and my shame in my room. So there I was. I remember texting my bestie as soon as I took the second pill, and only because of the timestamp of our messages, I know for a fact that I passed out for 19 minutes in that peak of pain and bleeding. Now, in contrast to my first abortion, this one hit harder. And frankly, it hit at all. I had actually played with the idea of keeping it and was heartbroken of going through this process this time. I even named her Selena. It was then and there where I promised myself that if I ever have the privilege of getting pregnant again, I would keep it no matter what. Because I was pretty broke back then, and I was like, it doesn't matter. Everyone figures it out. And it was that day that I knew that I wanted to be a mother. Fast forward to today, I'm almost 40, and I have the most magical 3-year-old daughter that is the center of my life and a big piece of my heart. It took us exactly 1 year and 4 months to conceive her, and I'm not going to lie, after each negative result, I did think about my 2 abortions. And even if I intelligently know that it has nothing to do with it, I secretly wondered if in a spiritual world, my 2 spiritual kids were punishing me. Because trust me, when you are not conceiving after a couple of months, you already start looking for the most unbelievable reasons of why it's not happening to you. And being a mother today, looking back at that crossroad of when I was 19 years old or when I was 30, I would not have changed one bit of my story, because neither of those alternate options would have taken me to Mia or to where I proudly stand today. My beautiful life and extraordinary Mia are the results of my experiences and my choices, and I will do everything in my power for my daughter to have the same or higher privileges and opportunities than I've had in my lifetime, and definitely not be stripped from them based on sexist laws. Until the day we can offer birth control pills to both men and women and stop blaming and punishing only women for unprotected sex, I'm voting for the reproductive rights women deserve. I'm voting for me as a woman and a mother and an immigrant woman. I'm voting for my immigration story turned American. And I'm voting for me as a small business owner. But guess what? Voting is bigger than that. Voting is the most selfless act you could possibly do for humanity. Because not only am I voting for the female I birthed and the future of her freedom and access to opportunities, I'm voting for the people that are on survival mode right now, this second, that don't have access to childcare, health insurance, or jobs, to where they don't have that leftover time and energy to even think about voting. I'm voting for people that I don't even know and that need it the most. And that is why I'm voting. I am voting for the first female president of the United States of America.